Hello, you're with Calling All Stations. Hopefully this is live. If you're watching, say hello. Let's see if everything is working okay. Cromwell Valley Railway, if you're still with us, say hello. Yes, this is all a bit new to me, this business. So if you're just joining, please pop in the chat and say hello. Make sure everything's working, all the audio's good, you can hear me. And more importantly, that you can see stuff going on behind me. That's kind of the important thing. Hello, Cromwell Valley Railway. You're still there. That's excellent. How's things sounding, mate? Is it all good? Can you hear me okay? Can you see some trains? Once we establish that, I will start talking about more interesting things other than everything is working fine. That is great news. So hello if you're just joining the Calling All Stations live stream, the first live stream ever. Bear with me in this. This is going to be a bit rough and ready. So as you can see, there's 4 screens currently up. There's one trained on Woodford Wells, which is over there. There's one trained down here, which is Crocs West, where the S-Stock is, and you've got my face. Hello. You can see a bit of the depot behind, and you've also got the diagram of train controller. This is really weird because I'm watching myself back and it's like 20 seconds delay. I was hoping to have a 5th shot for you, but my secondary iPhone that controls the layout is on charge. So once that's charged up, I might be able to do some Fiddle Yard shots behind. Hopefully that will be quite good. Yes, right. So, what can we show you? I noticed there's not a lot actually moving around, so I'm just going to go into Train Controller and make sure that everything is working, and rather typically, not everything is working as expected. So I'm going to diddle about with Train Controller, but whilst I do that, guys, if you've got any questions about the layout, I know a few people have been asking a few questions lately. If you've got any questions you want answering, now is the ideal time to ask me them, and hopefully I will do my best to answer them. I've got a couple of things to talk about during the episode, things I've sort of been doing recently, and things and ideas I've got planned for the layout. Once that S-Stock goes back to Crocs West, then I can move the class 37 that's in Woodford Wells station out of the way, and then hopefully we can get some more interesting movements going on. So yeah, how many people we got watching at the moment? 5. If you're joining this from Twitter, I don't think the YouTube link appeared properly for people on YouTube. So if you're joining from Twitter, give it a retweet and see if we can get some more people watching. Hopefully we will. So what you're watching at the moment is a couple of schedules. I've got 5 schedules. You can just see them in the right hand side of the display, bottom right on the train controller screen. The way it's set up, some of the trains don't go from Crocs West to Woodford Wells. Some of them do. Some of them go to the Fiddle Yard. Some of them go to the depot. So the class 101 that's sort of shuffling around, that's programmed to go to the depot and the Fiddle Yard. The S-Stock obviously is only programmed to go from Crocs West to the Fiddle Yard, because Crocs West is the only bit with 4th rail on. Excuse me. And yeah, you'll see hopefully once I get them all running, the schedules interacting with each other. And I'm very aware that that S-Stock has now arrived. So before anything else happens, I need to make sure that I send something else off. And rather typically, because the screen is a bit funny, I'm finding it all a bit confusing. And now the 101 is going to occupy the space that I was going to do. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. So if you're joining, please say hello. Ask a question if you like. Yeah, give it a retweet on Twitter so we can get some more people joining. And hopefully we can chat model railways and stuff. That'd be good. Right, the 101's now in the Fiddle Yard. Thing is with Train Controller, I've got it set up in such a way that I've got more accurate stop markers. However, the trains really do prototypically slow down into the stop markers and stop at the accurate point. The problem with that is it is quite slow if you want to quickly shuffle things around, but swings and roundabouts. I like the prototypical speed that I've got at the moment. Right, I might go and manually move that Class 101. It's going to move itself, that's fine. I told you guys that this would be a bit rough and ready. We're already 10 minutes in, apparently. I'm not sure because I didn't quite get this set up correctly in the first instance. So I think I had about 5 minutes of technical problems, which is why I don't think it's published properly to YouTube. Right, now that that's out of the way, now I'm going to move the Class 37 if it lets me. Right, I'm going to stop all the schedules because I need to get things back in the right places so we can start this all again properly. So I'm just going to shuffle the S stock back there manually. The thing is with all these train controller schedules is everything's kind of got to start in the right place, or it kind of gets confused, I find. Could I just ask, this is from Cromwell Valley Railway, could I just ask how long has the layout been going and how did it all start, e.g. picking the region and area? Good question. How long has it been going? I think I started this layout in about May 2015, so it's been going 2 years now. Wow, that's a long time. The kind of thought process for era was I had quite a bit of stock for that era already, because if you followed my channel and you followed my blog from beforehand, Calling All Stations, I had a big oval layout and I had just a mismatch of stock. I just kind of ran whatever I liked, really. Whilst I'm talking about this, I'm going to shuffle some stuff around. I had a whole batch of stock and I thought, no, I'm going to kind of focus my attention towards one era. So I had all the kind of Network Southeast stuff already. I had an EPB. I had, what else did I have? I had that little parcels thing as well. Anyway, I did have some locos from that era. I thought that would be the way to go. As you know from the channel, I'm usually enthusiastic about Network Southeast, so that was the era all set up. Location. I'm from the London area, so obviously I was going to probably choose somewhere in London. And let's get some things moving whilst I waffle on. So I wanted to pick somewhere in London. The layout itself is based loosely on Chinkford, which is in North London. However, you'll notice that it's a third rail layout, so it kind of takes a little bit from all parts of London, and hopefully kind of melds them together into sort of a pan-London location. So hopefully that answers your question and it wasn't too waffly. I'm going to get some stuff moving. So S-Stock's back moving, which is good. I'm going to get the Class 101 to go to the TMD. That's going to free up some space so I can move that Class 37 again. Okay, I've had some more questions. Let's have a look. Hey, love the vids, commentary and directing is up there. Jeff from the Londonist. Wow, thank you very much for that, because my stuff is nowhere near as good as his. I hope you guys have all been watching all the stations today. The first video was out. I thought that was really good. St Ives, doesn't it look lovely down there? Best time for a stream. I'm streaming soon. Hello, Tommy Trouble. Yeah, I wanted to do a weekday one. I think originally I was going to do one a couple of weeks ago, and it was kind of in half term or some Easter holidays, and everybody was busy. So I've kind of been waiting for a quiet time in the evening that I can dedicate to this stream. So that's the rationale for picking today. Right, let's see what's moving about and make sure everything's right. The Class 37, I'm going to get that out of the way so that I can get that steam loco moving as well. Typically, about an hour ago when I was setting this up, all the schedules were beautifully interacting with each other, and I wasn't putting in any input, and then typically as soon as I go live, everything has stopped. But that's okay, we're going to get it going. I have just bought a Backman Class 170 for my friend for £33, which he paid £9. That is a good deal. What's the Backman Class 170 like? I don't have a 170. It's sort of beyond my era. Obviously I have the S stock, and I have a Class 66, but I've kind of sort of moved Croxley West over to its own side. I guess that's something I could talk about in later on, is why Croxley West is sort of a modern era bit, and Woodford Wells down the other end is 1980s. So yeah, I don't have Class 170. Let us know what it's like. I've seen some good reviews, I think. You guys are chatting about that. That's good. Right, let's see what's moving about. The Class 170 is over there. So what you're seeing happen at the moment, I can't remember what way the S-Stock's gone. I think the S-Stock has just gone into the Fiddle Yard. And it's going to clear space for the L1, which is now coming into Croxley West. That's good. Something different has come into Croxley West. I'm really pleased about that. That means things are roughly starting to move in the right direction. So, what's going on? What's going on? Yes, okay, 1980s with the steam train running. I've got the steam train running just to be interesting, which is why I've got the S-Stock going as well. Plus, hey, 1980s, they had steam trains going. We have steam trains going now. So, that's my rationale behind it. I know that it's not prototypical because it's running with a push-pull set, and an L1 probably never did run with a push-pull set. I don't know, you guys tell me that. But that's just to be a bit more interesting for you guys to see a few different trains running on the layout. Yeah, that top left camera, that's a very old webcam which I found and which I've used instead. If you watched any of the test versions of this stream, I had kind of a wireless app which wasn't that reliable, to be honest. So I've moved over to that kind of crappy webcam up top left. It kind of looks like a security cam, so sorry about that, but we're going to roll with it for the time being. I'm just seeing if I can get the fifth camera up and running and see if we can get something going with that. That's what I've been looking at for my layout. Setting East Midlands. A lot of Class 170s in the East Midlands, I think. I think I saw a couple today when I was out. I went to Downham Market today to see the Network Southeast refurb. If you haven't seen anything about that, in the link in the description below, there is a link to the Periscope that I did from Downham Market today. What they've basically done is they've refurbished the station in Network Southeast colours. If anybody knows why Downham Market, drop us a comment, because I have no idea why they've chosen Downham Market. I've no idea why they've chosen now, because obviously last year was the 30th anniversary of Network Southeast. So I'm not sure why they've chosen Downham Market and why they've chosen now. But do pop down to the description, have a look at that Periscope. It's a very interesting station. An impressive refurbishment in Network Southeast colours. There will be a proper video of that coming soon. Right, so the Class L1 is in the Fiddle Yard, or is it? I'm watching the wrong stream. Oh no, that's come back. Okay, fair enough. I need to get the Class 37 out of the way, and that's a perfect opportunity to do this with the L1 at Croxley West. So I'm going to get the Class 37 out of the way. Again, it's pulling the nuclear flask train. Obviously, that has no place in a passenger station, but I'm running that train because it's kind of visually interesting. It's got a barrier wagon that's been weathered by, I think, TMC, and then it's got a Rail Freight Distributions brake van, I think. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, if I go quiet, by the way, that's because I'm working out what's going on the layout diagram. But do keep asking questions. They're all really good. So that's gone over there. That's now actually going to block things up a bit because the S-Stock wants to go to Croxley West and the Class L1 wants to come back to Woodford Wells. So I'm going to set the Class 37 on a schedule. Let's choose that one. I think that's the Class 37 schedule. Let's get that going. Meanwhile, I'm gonna... that's good. The Class 101's come back into life. That's coming back to Woodford Wells. Yeah, train controller is all about managing these schedules and kind of making sure that they don't time out. You can set in sort of timers so that they sort of retry themselves, but sometimes that doesn't always work. So that's what I'm trying to manage and talk about at the same time. So I've got a thing that's come up and said video output low, so you might experience some buffering. I do apologise if that's happening. So do let me know if you're still with us. So what I hope to happen now is that the Class 37's moved out of the way, hopefully, so that the Class 101 possibly make its way to the Fiddle Yard. Either that or the L1's going to attempt to come back to Woodford Wells. Possibly. So the L1's programmed to go back between either of the Fiddle Yard routes. Okay, the Class 101's, the Class 37's going back. Yes, I might move some stuff about manually after this. So some things that I've been doing with the layout recently, I've put in another detection block where the Class 33 is sitting on the diagram. I'm not sure if you can see that behind me, it's just down there. So I put in another detection block for that, which would give me a bit more flexibility if everything was behaving itself, which it seems like rather typically it isn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the Class 101 back to the depot. Do you want to stop this schedule? Yes, I do want to stop that schedule. Then hopefully we can get the Class 37 into Platform 2, which is what I really want, and then the L1 to come back to Platform 1, then the S-Dock to Crocs West. It's all kind of a juggling act, this. So hello if you're just joining, this is the Calling All Stations live stream. A bit of an experiment. It's going to be a bit rough and ready. My thing's just gone back to departing soon again. That's strange. Stream has resumed. Okay, I think we're having a few technical difficulties with the internets. Right, so now that that's done, I'm going to get the Class 37 out of the way. Once the Class 37's out of the way, we'll get the L1 back into Platform 1. We'll get the 101 back into Platform 2. We'll get the S-Dock back to Crocs West, and we'll try and restart these schedules from scratch, I think. Guys, if you're still there, say hello, because I'm not sure if the stream's working anymore. I told you this would be rough and ready. It was much better in the tests when I was just talking to myself. If this doesn't work, we can of course try it another day when the internet's not being so rubbish. Right, you're back in Croxley West. Right, I'm going to manually stop them all again. I'm going to get you to go back to there. So I would hazard a guess and saying, oh, hello, Alfie. Hello, is the stream still working? That's good news if new people are saying hello. Is the stream working again? We went through a bit of a rough patch there. Still working, but buffering. Yes, apologies about that. I think maybe that's a problem of doing it about 7:30. Everybody in the building's on the internet. Everybody's clogging up the things, the internet pipes. Right, let's see if we can get all this back to normal. What I'm trying to do, if you're just joining, is, sorry, this is going to be really rough and ready. But the way I've got my train controller schedules set up is everything's got to start in the right place. And we've got a bit out of step and some stuff has kind of stopped working. So I'm making sure everything's going back to its right place, which we're nearly there. Once the 101's back to platform 2, we should nearly be there and hopefully start up the schedules again and get going. If you're just joining us, please ask a question about the layout if you've got any questions about it. We've been talking about what was my inspiration for choosing this era and this location. The station layout is roughly based on Chingford, and I really do stress roughly. If you do go and look at Chingford, it is a dead-end station, like Woodford Wells is. It's got sort of a canopy shelter on the platform one side, which is the really long platform, and then there's a shorter bay platform, platform 3, and then platform 2 is you've got the station building. I've just noticed my departure board screen turned off, so there's obviously been a little bit of funny business with the internets, but I think we're all back on track, which is good because you're all still chatting away and I'm getting loads of messages. Bring out the 101. The 101 is now moving. There we go. Just had a look and it does not look like the L1 was prototypical. No, I don't think the L1 ever did run with push-pull coaches like I've got, but it's just there to look nice, basically, for the live stream, for the first live stream. Right, now that everything's back in its original location, let's see if we can get it all going again. And by all going, I mean all interacting properly with each other. So I'm going to start that one, I'm going to start that one, and I'm going to start that one. Now the idea here is, guys, you're supposed to sort of now leave it and it will interact with itself, and train controller will go off and do its own thing. So let's hope it does that. So the S-Stock's moving to the Fiddle Yard. The Class 101 will probably go back to the depot again, but that's... The Class 101 is going to alternate between the depot and the Fiddle Yard. The S-Stock's going to alternate between Crocs West and the Fiddle Yard. The L1's going to do a full trip back and forth. And the Class 37 nuclear train, that's going to... I don't know what that's actually programmed to do. Maybe that's the thing that's causing us some problems. Yes, sorry guys if you were having some problems with the live stream. It does look like it's working now. I think my internet dropped out, basically. That's what happened. But I'm kind of glad that YouTube kind of figures out it doesn't make you stop and start again, because that would be a nightmare. Hi Charles, you're just joining us. Some more people are coming in, so obviously we're having some internet troubles, possibly. If you're joining from Twitter, give it a retweet and we can see if we can get some more people joining. Deltic Dan says there's an NEC logo in the brickwork on the platform well in Garden City. Dan, if you're from that area, go and take a picture. Send it into Calling All Stations, and I'm going to make the follow-up to In Search Network Southeast very soon. So if you're in that area, do take a picture and send it in. Apologies if you've already sent the picture in. I've got to go back through my Twitter and resave everything and get all the picture credits right. But that video is going to come out in maybe 2 or 3 weeks' time. I've got some things ahead of that to edit. So the S-Stock's back at Crocs West, which is lovely old stuff. The L1's now going to make its way to Crocs West. It can't do that, of course, because the S-Stock's in the way. But hopefully that the Class 37 will move out of the way, and then the S-Stock will move out of the way. And you can kind of see how this is like, you know, that maths puzzle, Towers of Hanoi. And you're basically moving one block to another tower. And then you can move other blocks to the original location. That's basically what this is. It's kind of this big puzzle. So where has the Class L1 gone? That's into the Fiddle Yard. That's a lovely old job. Class 37's moving to Woodford Wells. Guys, I think things are starting to move a little bit more smoothly. That's really good. Maidstone East still has untouched Network Southeast yard lamps. Again, take pictures, send it in. I'll put it in the video. As I was saying earlier on, we went to Downham Market earlier today. Drop down the description and watch the Periscope from Downham Market. Hey, just asking if you have got any London Underground memorabilia that would be good to show on the video. Are you asking because you definitely know I do have some London Underground memorabilia, or was that coincidence? I will go and get it. Good question. I'm back. Hello. So London Underground memorabilia. I have this. I'm going to switch over to... There we go. Now I can actually see myself in real time. I have this. There we go. That way. So this was... I bought this at the Depot Open Day this year. It was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? I bought this there. This was from the last 1938 stock train that ran on the Bakerloo line. It's the sort of the, there was a destination blind, the front left-hand side of the unit, and there was a destination blind where they put these wooden panels with the destination, the line, and sometimes like other information, like if it was a Northern Line train, where it was going via, whether it was going via Bank, whether it was going via Charing Cross. So this was apparently the last one on the Bakerloo line from the 1938 stock, which is, of course, now running around on their holidays in retirement on the Isle of Wight. That's the unit number, the train from that train. So London Underground memorabilia, yes, that is some London Underground memorabilia. Yes, it's not in bad condition, is it, Alfie? It's pretty good. I can't remember how much it cost. I think I bought that for about 30 quid, but it's a really interesting piece to say that was in the last 1938 stock on the Bakerloo line. Somebody with their Wikipedias open, did the 1938 stock carry on the Northern Line after the Bakerloo line? So it might not have been the last one on the Underground. However, it was certainly the last one on the Bakerloo line. And don't forget, those trains are now on the Isle of Wight, of which there is a video somewhere on my thing. Dave Marston says, "Evening, Andrew." Andrew, okay. Only Leah calls me Andrew, but fair enough. We'll go with that. I think it's because it's on my... Actually, am I brackets Andrew Carter on this? I might be. I think I changed it to Andy. Most people call me Andy, but you can call me Andrew if you want. I am not bothered. Old Oak Common is having an open day Saturday, 2nd of September. That is true. I think it costs about 20 quid. I need to get my ticket. But I think a couple of people I know are going to pop along to that. Let's see how all these trains are getting along. Is everything moving as expected? So I'm kind of waiting for the Class 37 to move out of the way. That's the thing that's going to bottleneck everything up, because the L1 is not going to make its way back to Platform 1 unless that Class 37 gets out of the way. It's going to have a damn good go, as we can see, but like I said with the Towers of Hanoi puzzle, the L1's going to move out of the way for the S stock, the S stock's going to move out of the way for the Class 37, and the Class 37's going to move out of the way for the L1. I hope you were following that. There will be homework questions. Sorry, and you can call me Andrew if you want. I was joking. Nice to see that layout running again. Yes, it is. Hopefully we'll be able to do some more of these with some better quality cameras. Apologies again about top left camera. It's not great, is it? It's a very old webcam that I found in a box. Didn't even know I had it. The idea was that we had the wireless camera going. Shall I try and get that going, and then we can have a fifth camera? I might have to do some fiddling about with the apps and OBS. By the way, if you don't know, OBS is the software that's generating these for multi-panels. You received Alfie says he received a 1977 Piccadilly Line map. It includes Aldwych Station. Does that have the kind of the interchange connections with like the arrows? They were so cool. They looked really great. Slade's Green Depot is having an open day. Emerson Park has the Network South East logo into the platform. It certainly does. We featured that in the last In Search of Network South East video. It was one of the places I didn't actually go to, but I did feature it. I've been meaning to visit Emerson Park. It's one of those weird, why does that line sort of exist sort of thing, Upminster to Romford Overground, that is kind of way off in East London. And it appears on the Overground maps, doesn't it? So you're sitting on a train to Watford Junction, and there's a this weird little bit of orange overground at Romford. Right, everything seems to be... The Class 37's getting out of the way. Right, I said I was going to try and get up the 5th camera and then go roving. So bear with me whilst I set that up. Chat amongst yourselves. Right, that's there. Epoch cam. I'm hoping this doesn't slow down my Wi-Fi. Oh, there we go. Right. Shall we go roving? It would be useful if you could see this camera. There it is in the background. So I'm going to hide that. There we go. Let's go roving with this. I'm going to show you the Fiddle Yard with this camera. Before I do that, I'm going to get my trusty Rubik's Cube. This is basically, I use this to prop up cameras and iPhones. Right, there you go. You can see what's going on in the Fiddle Yard now. It's quite dark, isn't it? But you get the gist. If I make that a bit smaller. Let's see if we can get all of the cameras in. That would be good, wouldn't it? There we go. That gives you a pretty comprehensive view because you've got Woodford Wells there, bottom left. That thin sliver of camera top left is the Fiddle Yard. You've got Crocs West next to that. You've got me next to that with the depot in the background. And you've got the layout diagram, of which I'm going to check on and see if everything's running. It looks like it's okay. The Class 37's, again, clogging things up a little bit, but it's all still working, which is really good. Yes, it does include the interchange arrows. Back to that map. Those are really cool old maps. I do have a carriage map. I will go and get that and show you that as well. So this is one of my other underground bits of memorabilia. This is a central line car map line diagram. The interesting thing about I found with these ones, the central line ones, was they printed Tottenham Court Road's closure. This was obviously closed in 2015 for them to do Crossrail works and to rebuild the central line platforms. But I found this really interesting because they actually printed it on the line diagram rather than doing a sticker. You know, the stickers that they stick up when stations are closed and when there are service changes. But that's my other bit of London Underground memorabilia. A central line diagram from 2015. Wow, that seems like... This seems like I only acquired this like yesterday. Anyway, that's that. What's moving on the layout? What can I tell you about? Everything's waiting. I think the next thing to move... we might be at a sort of loggerhead point where everything's a little bit clogged up. Woodford Wells. I'm expecting the L1 to move. That's what I'm expecting. However, it looks like it's not going to do that. So I might have to interfere with that. Meanwhile, what are you guys saying? Yes, follow you on YouTube. I will go through all the comments and follow everybody after the videos are done, after the live stream's over. Let me work out what's going on here because Woodford Wells Platform 1, I think that's the one that's clogging. I think the L1's clogging things up a bit, so I'm going to move that out of the way. Hopefully then the Class 37 can get out of the way and the Class 101 can get out of the way. I think that's what it's waiting for. Where did you purchase the Central Line map? Somebody gave me that. I'm not going to tell you who, but somebody gave me that line diagram. Somebody I may know who works on the Underground. A Northern Line timetable book from 1990. Gosh, I wonder what the service patterns were like in 1990. Did they run all the way through on the Charing Cross branch, Deltic Dan? I'm interested if they would run through non-stop from one of the northern branches all the way down to Morden. Of course, at the moment, the Northern Line is kind of split into two. It's kind of half and half split, where most trains terminate at Kennington on the Charing Cross branch. So in 1990, did they go all the way down to Morden? I vaguely remember the line card diagrams, though. Even back then, there was a kind of the hashed black and white peak hours only at Kennington. So yeah, do let us know if they ran through to Kennington. Things start to be moving again, which is good. So what are we waiting for? We're waiting for the Class 101 to come back to Platform 2. As I say, it does it. The L1 should kick off. That's all good. I might change things up in a minute and see if there are some better schedules, because everything seems to be getting a bit clogged up on this schedule. I might also get the Class 33 out. What do you reckon about that? Andy, you may know about this. Why did they actually close the Epping to Ongar branch? TfL, London Transport, of course, at the time in the mid-90s, as it was called, were going through a phase of selling off unprofitable parts of the network. So on 30th of September 1994, they closed the Epping to Ongar section. Basically, nobody was using it. And they also closed Aldwych on the same day. Is slightly ironic, I suppose, as there's certainly an argument for reopening the Epping to Ongar section of line as an underground line, because more people are commuting in from that area. If you go to Epping on a weekday, that car park is full. It's the biggest car park on the underground network, and it's always full. So people are probably driving in from Ongar to Epping, and it would be interesting to at least think about, would it be any more profitable now? Who knows? Obviously, the Epping to Ongar line's now there, so that's completely different. Completely changed the situation. Megatrain Lover says, I got a Northern Line map from from 2013-ish, and an old A-Stock Metropolitan line from the Acton Open Day. Good stuff. Just looked in the background of Woodford Wells, and what is that maroon loco? I'm going to have to... okay. I'll show you what that is. I assume you're talking about this one. I'm just going to flip over to OBS so I can actually see myself. I assume you're talking about this one here. It is one of the old Metropolitan Line electric locomotives. This one is John Hampton, but I believe you can pick up Sarah Siddons, which is still an operative locomotive. You can pick that up from the London Transport Museum. It's Helgen that makes them, and they do them in various different variations. A lot of the roof colour changed over the years, I believe. So hopefully that one answers your question. Let's see what's going on the map. I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to do some manual movements. I'm going to get the Class 101 back to the depot, if it will let me, of course. And I'm going to get the Class 33 out, which might be problematic because the inspection coach it's coupled to has a habit of uncoupling. Hello, Michael. Thanks for joining the live stream. Right, Class 101's back. That's a lovely old job. So now we're going to get the Class 33 out for something different. So as I said, one of the things that I've done on the layout recently is I've put in another detection block where the Class 33 is there behind me. I'm not sure if you can see that shuffling its way out of the depot. That's one of the things that I've done recently on the layout. A lot of people do ask me, you know, what's going on with the layout recently. And I kind of sort of say, well, most stuff is kind of done. I mean, there are little tweaks and stuff that I kind of make, but most of the things that I now do on the layout is all the software stuff and learning more about Train Controller. So now we've got the Class 33 out. What can we do with that? Right, let's see if the top left camera, by the way, it has a habit of sort of being quite jumpy. I'm just going to leave it there so that you can see what's on the Fiddle Yard. It also has a habit of freezing every now and then. Time to rip it up and start again then. I know a lot of people on YouTube who they do that. They finish a layout and it's done. Right, let's build the next one. Well, as we said earlier on, as somebody asked earlier on, this took 2 years to build. I don't think I could just rip it up and start again. I've got a friend at work who always says, right, we'll build another layer, build a layer on top, and I'm like, I just don't know where to begin with that. But it's interesting that some people, the hobby is all about the construction and the kind of the building, and once they've finished building, they want to build some more. And the hobby is, for some other people, it's more about running the locos and working out timetables, and I'm kind of somewhere in between. I really do like building stuff and finishing projects, but I do kind of like working out all this computer stuff. That's all really cool. But no plans to rip up Woodford Wells. It's too much a labour of love at the moment. I did get that with my old layout. I got to a point where I was like, to improve it, I'm going to have to do a lot of damage to it, if you know what I mean. My old layout was DC. To move to DCC, I would have had to do a hell of a lot of wiring, and I thought, you know what, it's just easier to start again. So that's why Woodford Wells came about, is because I wanted to start again on my original layout, which was called Langsted Junction. Apparently the Metropolitan Crocs Link is not going to happen anymore. Do you know if this is true? This is really complicated issue. If you want to learn more about this, I'd go on to London Connections. There is a whole long form article, almost an essay, on Croxley and the whole Croxley Link project. Basically, the kind of the grey area that is difficult to explain is it's not a full TfL project. There's input from Hertfordshire County Council, because once you get out that far on the Metropolitan line, you're in Hertfordshire, you're not in London anymore. So I think TfL, and this is my personal opinion of course, I think TfL are looking at it and thinking, are we spending the money in the right place improving stuff in Hertfordshire when we could be doing stuff more in central London? Perhaps that's the viewpoint that they're looking at. I don't think it's completely way, but I think there's potential for them to look at other projects, and that's why it's gone quiet. But if you go on London Reconnections, type in Croxley Rail Link, and you can read their long form article on it. Cromwell Valley says, for me, I want to finish my layout, build a timetable and focus on running the signalling, as I want to have a large container freight area. Lots of people love freight and fiddle yards and all that kind of stuff. Are we still working? Everything's gone a bit red on my display, which is possibly bad. So do say if you're having problems with the internet, and I'll stop talking for a bit, and then we can carry on. In the meantime, I have to fix the S-Stock. Yeah, sorry about that. I've had some difficulties with the S-Stock, sometimes derailing on that curve. It can be fine for days, and then a couple of times it will derail. Transport and Stuff 808. Hi, it's Neo. What's your favourite underground national rail station? Wow, that's a very hard question. If you've been watching the map challenge videos, I do mention that I don't have a top favourite underground station. I've got like 5 that I really like. So Canary Wharf, big fan of Canary Wharf. It's just this huge space. Love Canary Wharf. Same with Westminster. I'm a big fan of the Jubilee Line extension of Westminster, where you have all the escalators sort of interacting with each other. Other stations I like, I recently went to Kew Gardens. That was a really nice station. There was a really nice pub at Kew Gardens, and they've kind of used the garden thing as an excuse to have lots of plants there. It's very nice. I'm a big fan of the stations on the top half of the Hainault Loop. So Chigwell's a lovely station as well. It's running a bit slow, stuttery a bit. How do I fix this? I'm watching myself back, which is a bit annoying. And I am stuttering. Michael says he always had second ideas for a second layout. You know what? Every now and then I get these sort of ideas to build a little N gauge layout. Maybe something in a flight case. I did start toying with the idea at Christmas, and I bought a tiny little flight case and a tiny little oval of track. But I didn't really go anywhere with the project. Maybe I'm going to resurrect that next year. But I have occasionally thought of an N-gauge layout that's sort of in a flight case that you could kind of put under a bed or something out of the way and then work on every now and then. But then I remember how just damn fiddly it was to build Woodford Wells, and that's 00 gauge. So I'm not sure about the. I kind of go through phases with the N-gauge stuff, and I look at like the class 47 in Network Southeast from Graham Farish. It's not Backman. Well, it is Backman, but it's Graham Farish, whatever way you want to look at it. I always look at that and I think, I kind of want to have that. But then, no, I kind of do focus back on the 00 gauge stuff. But I did buy, and it's up here, I did buy a little N-gauge loco to do some testing. It was in a second-hand bin at my local model shop, which is John Dutfield in Chelmsford. Little GWR pannier tank loco. Quite a little sweet thing, sort of whizzes round a loop of track. But I've just got basically that on display now. I'm not really using it. Put that up there. Love the nuclear flask with the class 37. I think you've got to have nuclear flasks with 37s. They're brilliant, really. I do have another one somewhere. I do have another flask. Could I ask anyone have any problem with Backman class 66 and it derailing? What kind of problems are you having with it derailing? I do have a class 66. I have the underground map livery one. We'll talk about why I have that on a 1980s layout in a minute. But no, I've not had any problems with that derailing. Do you have any other problems with other stock derailing? Is it a kind of track issue? Is it on curves? Is it on points? Lennon says, didn't mean me stuttering. I know, I don't think you meant me stuttering, but I was stuttering because the video was. But the live feed, I assumed it was my computer as I had. No, I think it's my internet. I think it might be the time of day that we're doing the live stream. You know, everybody's on their internet in the evening, and maybe the bandwidth is something bandwidthy. So, what's happening? I realise I've been waffling on, and not a lot of trains have been moving. That's very bad. Let's get some trains moving. Everything's kind of clogged up in that space there. I'm going to get the class 37 out of the way. It's always the class 37. So I'm going to get that out of the way, and then we'll get some stuff moving again. Do tell me if stuff stops moving, because I'll just waffle otherwise. It's moved. Now I say that, and now it moves on its own. Of course it will. Right. For you, it's ever. Deltic Dan says it's King's Cross is one of his favourite stations. The underground station, King's Cross St Pancras, or the mainline station. I really do like what they've done with the new entrance area in King's Cross. That's fantastic. A big fan of St Pancras as well. It's got a real European feel to it, St Pancras, and I suppose that's kind of the point with the new international station. Funny you should say that. I was at both of those stations today. We went up to Downham Market. Most people here have been watching since I talked about Downham Market earlier on. But somebody asked favourite stations. Yeah, like I said, I don't think I have a top favourite London Underground station. There are a few high favourites. In terms of National Rail, well, that's even harder because half of the stations I've not even seen. But Huddersfield station is fantastic. If you've ever been in the area, that's my adopted station for all the stations, for numerous reasons. But I lived in Huddersfield for 4 years. It's one of the most impressive station facades in the country. A massive, I think it's Edwardian, possibly. I want to say Edwardian frontage with these big columns, and there's this kind of water fountain display in front of it. There's 2 pubs in it, which is of course a good reason to like a station, to have not 1 but 2 pubs. One's got loads of railway memorabilia in and a really old Pac-Man machine. You can start to see why I like the station. And of course I lived there for 4 years, so I knew the station very well. Let's go back to talking about why your class thing derails. Class 66 derails. It does not like my curves and the flexible track that's between 3rd and 4th radius. That's interesting. So it likes 3rd and 4th, but it doesn't like anything in between. That is a bit curious. Gonna sound really impatient, but when is the next Meet the Fleet video coming out? I do get a lot of when's X coming out, and I do try and keep the channel varied, but I do know that I've been doing quite a bit of map challenge stuff at the moment. So yes, there is a script written for the Class 33. I've just got to film it. I have 2 videos that I've filmed and that I need to put together. I've got the Meet the Fleet video that I've scripted and then need to film. So it's all just a big backlog, basically. So I will probably get round to the Meet the Fleet one maybe in a couple of weeks. I've got a couple of things to do next week. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a video next week, but I do have a couple of things in the pipeline. The other thing, of course, I need to keep on top of is the blogs. And I hope you're all following the blogs on callingallstations.co.uk. And they'll give you a little bit more in-depth information about each of the stations that I'm visiting on the map challenge. Just making sure this S-Stock's all right. Yeah, it seems to write itself, so I think it has... Yeah, just had to help that along a bit. I think it's having difficulty with that specific corner, but like I said, I can leave it for days on end and it will be fine. And one evening I literally ran the whole layout for about 4 hours. Everything was working, moving back and forth fine. And today, of course, now it's having some trouble. Maybe a little bit of dust or dirt has got behind that tunnel. That's possibly causing it. But yes, anyway, back to videos that will be coming out. So there will be a Meet the Fleet. I've got to film that. There will be a follow-up to the Network Southeast video. I'm very aware I've got to do that because I put the video out requesting photos absolutely ages ago. So that's going to be the stuff that I filmed today with Down and Market. There is another map challenge video that we've filmed. That's just got to be scripted and then edited. That will be a big job, so that's going to take a while. And yeah, I said that I've got to keep on top of all the blog posts because I'm really behind on all the blog posts, so I kind of need to focus on doing those and getting those up on the website. Do I have any Network Southeast signs? Of course I have a Network Southeast sign. I'm looking up there because it's up there, and I'm working out a way if I can show you it. How can I show you it? I'm going to take the camera bottom left and show you it there. Yep, so there you go, that's my Network Southeast sign. Victoria found that at a car boot sale, would you believe? Cost 15 quid, amazing. The guy selling them had loads, and interestingly he had them from the North London line. So he had Hackney Downs, he had, what else did he have? I think he had Hackney Central as well, Homerton. He had all those kind of, that area of signage. So they obviously did it wholesale and he got hold of them wholesale. Right, what are you guys talking about? I'm trying to decide between using FlexiTrack or hand building it using wooden sleepers. Mike will be very brave if you hand built it, but by all means go ahead and do it. That's something I'd love to do. Probably a little bit advanced for me, I think. I'm not very good with fiddly things, you see. But that is, of course, a kind of bane of 00 gauge modelling, is the scale is wrong, the track's wrong. No matter what track you buy, it's the wrong gauge. Unless you're going to start fiddling with the models themselves and making them EM gauge, they're all wrong. And it does kind of like, every now and then you'll look at a kind of angle at the layout and you're thinking, it doesn't look quite right. So if you are going to hand build your track, best of luck. But the flexi track's easy to set up, I think. Does anyone know what's happening with the Eurostars, as I saw one being taken away to be scrapped? I think the 373s, the old units, was that the new units? Somebody will correct me. But the old ones, I think they're going to be taken away for scrap. I think that is the case with the old units, which I think is criminal, really. They're not that old. When you think about the HST sets that have been running around on the network since the 1970s, and we're going to have trains from the 90s be scrapped. I think it's mad, but you've made some track and points in P4 before. If you've made stuff in P4 or EM, make your own stuff, because it sounds like you're well ahead of me. The problem is it's the largest layout and you might find it a bit of a challenge. Yeah, I guess you've got to weigh up between the size. That's the problem with a big layout, isn't it? You've got to weigh out ease of laying the track, ease of putting it together, and of course the cost. I'd be interested to know, Michael, is there a massive cost difference in building your own track? Is it cheaper to do that, or is it massively more expensive? To me it sounds expensive, but I guess once you bulk order stuff, maybe it is a bit cheaper. Transport and Stuff 808 says he did Transport Roulette. Hey, loved it. We went from West Hampstead to Kew Gardens and then back again. That sounds like a good route, West Hampstead to Kew Gardens. So I guess you went on the overground. Yeah, if you're not sure about the Transport Roulette, go on the website, type in Transport Roulette. I'm sure you'll find out the rules. Basically, it's a game where you just kind of travel around London by chance. The thing I found with Transport Roulette is I think it needs like a kind of bolt-on reason for why you're travelling around. So either to just visit a new area, and then once you get to the area, then you explore the area. Or maybe to visit some new pubs, to visit some new cafes, shops, to even visit new attractions. Maybe you could randomise it, but if you just kind of play it, you just find out that you're just kind of moving around randomly, and it needs a purpose. So maybe that's something I'll think about in the future. You haven't worked out cost on the scratch build track. But yes. Yeah, it is a pity that they couldn't be relegated to the main line in the UK. That S-Stock is having trouble. Anyway, meanwhile, I got that Class 33 out and then didn't do anything with it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to leave the S-Stock in situ. Just because I can hear it's derailed itself again. I'm going to bring the 37 into Woodford Wells, like it's going to do some maintenance or something. I know it's got the nuclear flask, but let's pretend. And then I'm going to move the Class 33, I think. Get that shuffling about. The Class 37 and the 101 do have sound, by the way, but the way the audio is set up for this live stream is I don't think you'll be able to hear it if I turn it on. So they're not running with sound at the moment. So the 373 units have done over 1 million miles going from France, going back and forth to France. Surely the HSTs have done more than 1 million miles. And the Mark IIIs that are running with them, surely they've done more than the 373 sets. They were good trains, the the Eurostar. sets. I remember going on them in the 90s. Then they had that really kind of the grey and orange, like lad's pad sort of livery inside, the seating cushions and everything. Which I suppose, looking back at it, is a pretty depressing sort of innards to a train, but I remember them being quite comfortable. So the 37's off with the inspection coach. Eight or six class, I guess 373s are being refurbished and staying with Eurostar to work with the 374s. I think it's good that they're going to keep some. It'd be a shame if they get lost. Have they got any of the Eurostar sets, the 373s, working for TGV in France? And what, am I just making that up? Maybe I'm thinking of the ones, the North of London set that briefly works on the Great Eastern. Come on, get your words right. The East Coast Main Line. What is your opinion on the new Tube for London? Difficult to have an opinion on the new Tube for London because it's just a concept drawing at the moment. I'll have an opinion on it when it comes out. There's no concrete sort of design for it. Right, I've kind of realised that I've made everything stop, haven't I? Let's move the Class 33 back. I'm going to put the L1 in the depot after this. Now that the contract is up with South West Trains, it'll be interesting to know what livery they go with. Yep, especially as they've just painted all the new... Oh, someone tell me if they're not the 700s, because the 700s are tempting. 707s. What's my favourite HST livery? Current HST livery or any HST livery? Because if it's any HST livery, obviously it's Intercity Swallow. If it's any of the current liveries... the Virgin one's all right. Actually, I do think the GWR ones are quite smart in green. The old GWR livery was awful. I don't like the blue and pink one. What else have you got? You've got the cross-country ones. Not so much a fan of that. And then, of course, you've got... Am I missing anything? Am I missing any HST sets? Probably if it's current Virgin. And if it's any historic one, then obviously Intercity Swallow is the classic. Right, stuff has stopped moving. Let's get L1 and put that into the depot. I'm not sure if I've ever done that movement before, so it's either going to derail or not stop at the right place. Yeah, all is well, which is surprising. Now this is interesting. I can talk about some train controller stuff now. So you'll see the Class 33 has arrived at Woodford Wells. However, it is without its inspection coach. This is a problem with the KD couplers fitting them to Helgen locos. I found the height difference between the Helgen locos and Backman coaching stock is well off, so when they go over one of my magnetic uncouplers, they tend to uncouple because the connection is quite loose. So this is what happens. The inspection coach has some detection under it. It's basically drawing some power. That's why the computer still thinks there is something in Fiddle Yard Road 2, which is underneath the S-stock, and why it's red without a train sitting in it. That's because it's uncoupled itself, and everything will basically lock up now. I can't move the Class 37 because it thinks there's something in the way, and you can actually see the inspection coach up in the top left there. I'm going to go and retrieve it. So to make train controller see this as a detectable piece of rolling stock, I've basically fitted a resistor to the pickups, and that basically means that this draws some current, when it's over one of the detection sections, and it just helps things stop in the right places. If you're running with a non-motor coach first, it will make everything stop in the right place. So let's move some stuff about. I'm going to move the Class 37. Meanwhile, the Class 33 has lost its inspection saloon, so I'll go and put that back in a minute. How long is this stream going to last? I think I'm probably going to turn it off soon. I think we've been going over an hour. I intended this to be 15. When you converted to DCC, how did you learn to wire it up? I'm about to undertake the conversion, very much the same as I've done before. Start simple. So it is, DCC is both easier and more confusing at the same time. So I did a wiring video that you can go and look at for some of the basic wiring, and then I recommend going either to Everard Junction or Dave Class 47 for wiring up electro frog points. If you're not going to have electro frog points, it kind of solves a problem. Stream offline. Hello, I'm still here. I think we're having some internet problems again. But yeah, I've got a basics wiring video somewhere in the depths of my channel, and do go and watch Everard Junction on how to wire up points. I seem to have gone offline. What's going on? Stream resumed. Nope, it's gone back off again. Bear with us, guys. So we've moved on to video output low. I tell you what, next time we do this stream, I'm going to abandon the streaming over the wireless camera. Apologies if I've gone offline. I think I'm back now. So say hello if we're still back. I'm probably going to stop the stream in the next sort of couple of minutes anyway, but it will be good to say goodbye. It looks like we're streaming again. Let's assume we are. So yes, going back to wiring up for DCC, I've got one video somewhere in the depths of YouTube, Everard Junction and Dave Class 47 for wiring up electro frog points. Other questions. Have I ever been to Redbridge Station? Yes, it's not far away. Best station in terms of design? Okay, fair enough. It's obviously a Charles Holden. Is it a Charles Holden or is it a Stanley Heaps? I think it's a Charles Holden. Everything's gone green again, which is good. So apologies if you were sticking around and everything's gone a bit sticky. I am still here. Do let me know if you're still here. I'm going to move some trains about. So let's move. Let's get the 33 is running light, but we'll get that to Crocs West. It's back. Lovely old job. Sorry about that. Things I've learnt from this project are my internet's not great for streaming, apparently. I think it's the time of day that I'm doing it. I've previously done these stream tests in the middle of a weekday and I've had absolutely no problem with them. So perhaps there's bandwidth issues doing it in the evening, possibly. Class 33's disappeared somewhere. I'm going to get the 37 going. I'm going to get the 101 to move back to Woodford Wells. It's back. Hello everybody that's back. Yeah, so I think we're going to leave the stream there. I'll take a couple more questions if you've got them. I'll let everybody catch up because you're probably like 5 minutes behind me. He filmed a Deltic on Saturday with a full rake of intercity blue and grey coaches. It was like being back in the 70s. What coaches were they? Were they Mark III coaches? Were they the ones that Chiltern use? The ones that have kind of stuck around with the blue-grey livery? Or were they some older Mark 1s or Mark 2s? I know Epping Ongar Railway have got some Mark 2s in blue-grey. I've definitely seen some other railways with Mark 1s in blue. Charles Holden Redbridge. Were you transport and stuff? Were you the chap who asked if I should do the Lego Redbridge? I'm having a look at working out what I could possibly do with a Lego Redbridge. Interesting idea. If you've not seen the Lego video, do drop down to the comments below and see me build Osterley in Lego. Great stream, can't wait to see more. Thank you, Cromwell Valley. I do apologise to everyone, it's been a bit rough and ready. I will do a little bit more research in making this work a bit better, but we had to give it a go some point. I was doing loads of test ones, and in the end, it was time to go live. So, yeah, I think it's been reasonably successful. While the stream was offline, I looked at your blog, and I never knew that Downham Market has still got Network Southeast branding. It's not the old Network Southeast branding. They have refurbished the station into Network Southeast. So all that stuff that you see at Downham Market, that is new. It's not old Network Southeast. It is brand new, which is why when you go and look at they've got basically like Oyster card kind of style scanning points. And it's even those have got Network Southeast logos, which obviously didn't exist back in the 80s and the 90s. So I will do a proper video and explain what's going on at Downham Market soon, even though I don't really know why they've refurbished it in those colours. But it's great. If you're in the area of Downham Market, do go and check it out. Anyway, guys, I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks for dropping by and watching the stream. I can't believe we've been sitting here chatting for over an hour. That is a very long time. I will leave this video up maybe for about a week, and then I'll probably I don't know, shall I leave it up and for indefinite amount of time, or shall I get rid of it? Because I'm not sure how many people are going to watch back an hour and a half of me waffling on. Why is it like it that Alfie says about Downham Market? Not sure why they've refurbished it like that, to be honest. I'm not sure. I will look into it and hopefully put that in the video. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching Calling All Stations' first live stream. Thanks very much for putting up with the stuttering internet. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I will see you guys very soon.